today. So I'm glad to say that on the basis of text exchange with Pooja Titke, I found she has a very, very vibrant personality. Pooja is a senior partner with Parinam Law Associates, and prior to that, she was also a partner with Juris Corporation and ALMT Legal. The firm Parinam Law Associates is a multi-specialty law firm, and they have clients across all segments and practice areas. Pooja specializes in two particular areas, focus areas. So one is dispute resolution, which is litigation and arbitration, and the other one is insolvency and data privacy laws. So that's her professional side of it. Pooja did a law degree from our own Government Law College, and she had done BCom earlier from HR College. She registered with the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa in 2005 and has been practicing since then. She has handled a whole bunch of important and critical cases in the real estate, shipping, infrastructure, pharmaceutical, sports, media, and entertainment. So a very well-rounded personality. Let's see what she does otherwise. So Meenakshi will be glad to know that she is also into spirituality in the sense that apart from doing in the non-COVID time, courses for companies as a faculty with the art of living, and also eliminating stress through techniques which are based on breath, meditation, and music. Pooja has had a fairly interesting time during the COVID time. She was a counselor on the helpline of Art of Living, and she also did anxiety and stress coaching for the frontline workers, including breath and meditation workshops. So she handled the general public in the areas of anxiety and stress, and she also helped the COVID frontline workers. Pooja is also a promoter of the Young India and youth empowerment, if I can use the word. She has been at the forefront of social projects like Vote for a Better India, Donate a Book, Educate a Child, Clean India, Clean Inside, Clean Outside. And basically, she likes working with the youth as part of her contribution to building a responsible, educated, and conscientious society. So it's not all work and no fun. Pooja is also into badminton and swimming, and she has been learning piano lessons from her school days. And she writes that she pursues both her vocational and personal interests with equal passion and dedication. I'm so glad to invite you, Pooja, to our club, and I invite you to now share your talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramnathji. That was a very generous introduction. So, very good morning to everyone. I tuned in about 10 minutes earlier, just to make sure there are no technical glitches, and realized that I'm going to be addressing a very vibrant and enthusiastic audience. So I'm really excited. And I think, instead of keeping this a monologue, should we just keep this interactive? What do you say?
Yeah, maybe
you could do a
little bit of general introduction, and then you can have a interactive session, Pooja.
Okay, great. I'll do that. My beginning with spirituality happened when I was 18 years old. I just finished my 12th standard exams, and a friend of mine, in the building just said, do you want to go for this course on meditation? And I said, yeah, why not? I'm not doing anything better with my time anyway. So I went. And it was a 6-day program in those days. I knew nothing about the program, didn't even know that it was an Art of Living program or anything. I only knew that, one of the teachers was a senior of mine in school who I really looked up to. So I thought, this will be good. So I went for it. And the things that I learned on the program and the technique, the Sudarshan Kriya that I did for the first time, really blew me away. They just happened to answer so many questions that had come up in my mind over the years. And over the years, just practicing meditation and the kriya has just brought about such a transformation. I really don't recognize who I was then. So it's just been so wonderful, the journey, full of so much growth and um, realization and learning, that I just then back in 2007 decided that why not go ahead and teach this to our youth. They need it so much. And so I started with the youth, and then slowly expanded my programs to working professionals and adults. So it's been a fantastic journey, and I'm really happy to share, uh, the title of the talk is Demystifying Spirituality, because we hear these buzzwords over the last 2 years, right? Or 2, 3 years. Spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, stress relief. Uh, they've become so popular over the last few years. Um, so I think we could start with having everyone's perspective on spirituality. What do you think spirituality is?
I think some people think spirituality is saying cheers
Saying cheers.
and drinking a good, nice spirit.
Okay. What else?
Spiritual, can I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay, I think spirituality is nothing with religion in particular, but it's the way you think, you train your mind, think positively, and be thankful and grateful to Almighty. And you, you spend your life in a very systematic way.
Right. Okay.
You should not harm others, disturb others, insult others. It's, it's basically, it's a very nice way of living, and be thankful to God all the time, and be happy, whatever the way God gives us, be thankful every situation.
Great. All right. That's a very comprehensive definition.
Ma'am, I can say something.
Yes, please go ahead.
This is PM Mahapatra. I just say that this is spiritualism generally, it is the person itself. You cannot impose the spirituality with from somebody from outside. Any pressure is required. You have to develop your mind in such a fashion that whatever things will be there, you have to be sthita prajna. Like कोई भी अगर दुख आए, don't break down yourself. कोई भी अगर खुशी भी आए, उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा enjoyment करने का जरूरत नहीं है. So spiritual living is a eternal peace. It will bring to your mind, and peace also, and you will be achieving the tranquility in mind. I believe that is only the spirituality we can develop within ourselves.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mahapatra ji. Anyone else would like to share?
Our own Meenakshi is, she can speak on this subject because she's into it for last several years.
Okay.
So why not Meenakshi speaking? She's really deep into spirituality.
No, it's spirituality is connecting with yourself, your inner self, trying to see the connection between the philosophy and religion, because people say I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious, which is a very big fallacy, because you cannot be spiritual and not be religious, because religion is only connecting you to your spirituality. It's a practice and it is a faith which connects to your inner self. And secondly, I feel that it gives us a purpose in life. It tells us to look at ourselves, analyze it, and understand the purpose of why we are where we are and how we are. Because unless you're able to understand that why we are here, Why am I born in this form? Why is somebody else born differently? Unless you can connect all the dots, you will never ever be either a religious person or a spiritual person unless you fail to see the oneness in everything in this whole universe. Spirituality has no meaning, according to me, but I may be wrong.
I would like to say spirituality we had seen from the life of Buddha. He had seen all the best life first of luxury in his kingdom, and then later on he felt that he has to still go Atma and Paramatma, and that is how the spiritual life had started. This is how I would say.
Okay, great. So thank you, Meenakshi ji, for sharing. That was really beautiful. So if you had to put it very simply, spirituality is nurturing the spirit, right? The spirit in us, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is
Absolutely. Connecting with your inner self.
right?
Yeah.
And the spirit is made up of joy, enthusiasm, compassion, kindness, empathy, forgiveness, right? So when we nurture the spirit in us, all of these qualities we are able to sustain for a longer period of time, right? When the spirit is clouded with a lot of stress, negativity, sorrow, then what happens is these natural qualities that are that are part of our true nature start disappearing slowly. And we then start experiencing negative emotions such as anger, arrogance, frustration, pride, jealousy. All of that then starts creeping in when we are not nurturing the spirit, right? So if we generally tend to look into matters of the body, right? Our own body, keeping it fit, keeping it healthy, uh, decorating the body with good clothes, accessories, looking good, makeup, skincare, all of that. Yeah, so we're looking into our bodies. And then the other aspect of ourselves that we tend to look into is our intellect, right? So grooming the intellect, reading, keeping ourselves informed, having intellectual discussions, right? Analysis, questioning. So that is another aspect of ourselves that we look into generally. But we generally tend to ignore the spirit. Yeah, and just grooming, looking into the body and the intellect is not enough. It makes our joy very momentary, isn't it? You feel you achieve a goal or you purchase something that you always wanted, and you feel happy, but that happiness lasts for a very short period of time, right? So nurturing the spirit helps you sustain that sense of happiness and well-being and joy for a longer period of time, right? Because that's who we really are. That's our true nature. So the more we are in our nature, the more we are able to be happy and joyful, which is essentially what we all want in life, right? Everything that we do in our life, we do to be happy or to be free, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So other than our body and intellect and the spirit, we are made up of several layers. Yeah, and I'm going to quickly share my screen to just take you through um, the various layers of our existence. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are 7 levels on which we all exist. The very first level is the level of the body, right? We spoke about that. When the body supports us, we're able to achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve in life, right? When the body is not supporting us, it becomes a liability, right? Then the second layer of our existence is the breath. The breath, of course, is that which keeps us alive, right? Without the breath, there is no life. But the breath has a lot of healing power in it as well, which we are not tapping into. You know, an average human being uses only about 30% of his or her lung capacity. And that is why we are not able to fully leverage the benefits of our own breath. So if you just, you know, do a little research on the power of your breath, you'll come across so many papers that have been written on how the breath can help you detox completely throughout all the toxins in the body, improve your health to a very large extent. So that's the second layer of your existence. The third layer is the mind, right? The mind is that faculty through which we experience the world around us, right? So if you walk into a party and it's full of people and everybody's, you know, chit chatting with each other, and then suddenly you spot your best friend there. So you go up to your best friend and then strike up a conversation. You will notice that in the next few minutes, all the sound in the room goes to the background, right? And you can only hear what this person is saying, right? So are your ears listening, or does the mind listen? Yeah. So it is the mind that listens through the ears. So the mind perceives the world through the five senses. Yeah. And that is what the function of the mind is. Then the fourth layer of our existence is the intellect. The intellect is that faculty which helps you discriminate, right? What is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is good for me, what is not conducive to my well-being. All of that is the function of the intellect, to analyze and discriminate, right? Then the fifth layer is the memory. The memory is your store bank, right? Where everything about you, your name, your where you live, you know, don't touch a hot vessel, you will get burned. All of this is stored in the memory, and it's available to you when you need it, right? So the memory is like your store bank. The sixth layer is the ego. The ego is you know, generally perceived as only a sense of superiority, but it's not just that. Amazingly, the ego is also a sense of inferiority. Anything that makes us feel separate from the other person, or makes us feel inferior, or doesn't help you connect or feel a sense of belongingness with the people around you, is the ego coming up. Yeah? So when you feel a little rigid, you know, a little hard in the mind, you're not able to connect with people, you're not feeling that sense of belongingness with the people around you, you're feeling either inferior or superior to the people around you, all of that is a function of the ego coming up. Yeah. It's actually a distortion of the ego, I would say. And then the last layer of existence is the soul, which is the self or the spirit, whatever you would like to call it. Yeah. So all of these 7 layers are constantly at work at any given point in time. So for example, if, you know, say Gaurang is he's on a diet plan, right? And he's been given a strict diet which involves no sugar whatsoever, right? So Gaurang finishes his exercise and daily, you know, the daily routine, and then on his way to the shower, spots a gulab jamun on the dining table, right? And then he spots the gulab jamun, and then the mind perceives that gulab jamun, and suddenly he can smell it, right? Even from a distance, right? And then what happens? The intellect comes in and kicks in and says, Gaurang, you're not supposed to have sugar, so please stay away from this gulab jamun, right? And then what happens? Then the memory kicks in and says, oh my God, but the last time I had this gulab jamun, it was so delicious, right? And the memory is more powerful than the intellect, right? So the memory lingers on for a little longer. And then after some time, the ego kicks in. And then Gaurang says, come on, Gaurang, you can't even control this much. it's just been 3 weeks since your diet has started, and you have a long way to go. Just go straight to the shower, right? So there is, all of these faculties of ours are at play all the time. Yeah? And how we maintain them and nurture them will depend on how we react to situations and people around us, right? So that is where spirituality comes in. Yeah, what does spirituality do to each of these 7 layers? Spirituality keeps the body free from disease. Yeah, you will see that the more you practice spirituality, you're healthier. The frequent cold and cough that you used to face will stop. There'll be a sense of well-being and health on a daily basis. Yeah, so it takes care of the body. What does it do to the breath? It keeps the breath quiver free. When your breath is quiver free, your mind is equanimous, the emotions are healthy, yeah, and the body is healthy. So that is what it does to the breath. It keeps the breath quiver free. Have you noticed when you feel different emotions, there are different breathing patterns associated to it, right? So when you're angry, your breath is faster. When you're fearful, your breath is heavier, right? So every time you experience an emotion, your breathing pattern changes completely, right? So spirituality helps you keep the breath quiver free so that you gain a certain amount of emotional and mental stability. What does it do to the mind? It keeps the mind free from stress. Yeah. So what is stress? Stress is a phenomena that takes place when the mind is constantly oscillating between the past and the future. So for example, you're listening to this talk right now. Yeah. So physically your body is here, but is the mind fully here, or is it somewhere in the future saying, oh, I have to make lunch, oh, I forgot to order this, oh, I forgot to call that person. Yeah. So when the mind is oscillating between the past and the future, that is when we collect stress. The more the mind is unable to stay in the present moment, the more stress is generated in the system. So spirituality helps you keep the mind in the present moment more and more. And then that reduces the stress in the system. What does it do to the intellect? It keeps the intellect free from inhibitions. Yeah? So anything that, generally the intellect tends to doubt yourself, doubt your abilities, doubt your path, the path that you've taken in life. It could be your career, it could be your family, whatever. So that is when the intellect becomes a liability. When there are too many doubts, you're not able to do anything with confidence. So spirituality addresses that. It keeps you free from inhibitions and free from prejudice. For the memory, it gives you an obsession-free memory. Yeah? Have you noticed, what do you hold on to more? Do you hold on to the positive more, or do you hold on to the negative more? Suppose somebody gave you 10 compliments and 1 insult, what would you remember?
1 insult.
the 1 insult, right? So the memory clings on to the negative. So this tendency of the memory gets taken care of by spirituality. Yeah, that reverses. Yeah, the tendency of the memory to hold on to the negative and then blow that negative into, a much larger than it really is, gets corrected. And then the ego, it gives you an ego that is all inclusive,
Kunal, go after this.
all encompassing. Yeah. So when we spoke earlier about, the ego being that which makes you feel separate or doesn't allow you to feel a sense of belongingness, spirituality helps that ego soften up and include everybody. So and that has a direct impact on your leadership skills, your family skills, interpersonal relationships, all of those start blossoming when the ego is taken care of. And then lastly, it frees the soul from sorrow. So it gives you a sorrow-free soul. When the soul is free from sorrow, then you experience your true nature, which is joy, enthusiasm, bliss, love, all of that, right? So in a very natural way, spirituality takes care of all of these 7 layers of our existence and helps us turn them into assets rather than liability. So as a result, what happens is our observation, perception, and expression of life begins to improve and change. Yeah. So when we speak about these 7 layers and how spirituality impacts these 7 layers, it brings us then to 2 limbs of spirituality. What are the 2 limbs of spirituality? The first limb is spiritual practices, yeah, and the second limb is spiritual wisdom. So spiritual practice, what is a spiritual practice? It is anything that involves a little bit of yoga, little bit of meditation, little bit of breath-based pranayam techniques, and a little bit of silence. Yeah? So a healthy combination of all of this is what constitutes a spiritual practice. What does a spiritual practice do for you? Knowing a spiritual practice is not enough. Doing it every day is important. Yeah? And it doesn't have to be for much time. Just about 20 to 30 minutes if you give yourself every day. That's more than enough to take care of the entire day. So what spiritual practices do is they increase your energy levels. When your energy levels are high, you feel more enthusiastic, more confident, you can take on challenges, you can uplift people around you. Yeah? All of that happens when your energy levels are high. When the energy levels are low, there are lots of doubts that come up in the mind. Yeah? You don't feel great about yourself. You don't feel like taking on anything new or a challenge. Your life somehow starts going into like an autopilot mode, right? So addressing energy levels is an important aspect of a spiritual practice. Then the second thing that happens is it clears up all your 7 layers of your existence and turns them into assets. Yeah? It also helps you evolve as a human being. It allows you to get to know yourself better, not just intellectually, but also intuitively. So it helps you connect with yourself, and the more connectedness you feel, the more you will feel belongingness with everyone around you. And then loneliness, sorrow, fatigue, all of this begins to disappear after some time. So a spiritual practice really enriches our day-to-day life. Yeah, and it keeps those 7 layers of our existence in good health. So apart from spiritual practice, you have spiritual wisdom, right? So spiritual wisdom is what just reading a little bit of a scripture. It could be, one or 2 pages of the Bhagavad Gita every day. It could be the Upanishads or the Puranas or a little bit of the Bible, whatever scripture that you have been exposed to in your life or you would like to explore is something that will take care of your spiritual wisdom. The function of spiritual wisdom is to purify the intellect and to help you gain skills and abilities to deal with day-to-day challenges. So whether it's at home, now, in the lockdown, we're all facing so many different kinds of challenges that we've never faced before, right? At the level of the society, the level of the family, our own emotions and mind, right? The business, work, job security, all of that. So immersing yourself in that spiritual wisdom for just about 15 minutes every day yeah, will make a big difference in the quality and the state of your mind. So these are the two limbs of spirituality, your spiritual practice and your spiritual wisdom. And both of them go hand in hand. So if you would all like, right now we could meditate for about 10-15 minutes. Is that something that you would like to do? Yes? Have you all, is there anyone here who's never meditated before or would be doing this for the first time? Okay, great. So would you like to do this or would you just like to listen to a little more? What do you prefer?
Whatever you wish, Pooja. I mean, however you want to.
Okay. Great. So what we'll do is, let us just, we'll do a short meditation. Okay. Nothing not very long.
And can I request the person to please mute everybody else except Pooja, please? Thank you.
This is, it's going to be a short, very simple guided meditation. All you need to do is sit with the eyes closed and keep your shoulders comfortably loose, your spine comfortably erect, and just very simply, without much effort, follow the instructions without paying too much attention to them. So if I say, you know, become aware of an apple, you will automatically just become aware of an apple because you know what an apple looks like, right? So there's no analysis involved, like, is it a red apple? Is it a green apple? Is it a big apple? So you don't have to put too much effort into the instruction. All right, great. So let's keep the eyes closed. Take a deep breath in. And breathe out. Take another deep breath in. And exhale. Become aware of all the sounds in the environment. Could be the sound of the fan, the sound of the television, sound of people talking. Just become aware of these sounds and accept them. Be at peace with all the sounds in the environment. Take a deep breath in with a smile on the face. Fill up the lungs and exhale. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your body. Your body is a gift from the divine. Honor and respect the body. Become aware of your right foot. Your right ankle. Right knee and thigh. The whole right leg. Become aware of the left foot. Left ankle. Left knee and thigh. The whole left leg. Become aware of the abdomen. Your stomach. Your chest. Shoulders. Your right arm. Your left arm. Your neck and face. Become aware of the whole body. The whole body. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take another breath in and exhale. Take your attention to your mind, to your thoughts. Whether good thoughts or bad thoughts. Do not judge your thoughts, simply become aware of them. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your feelings, whether pleasant or unpleasant. Simply become aware of your feelings. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your emotions. You are love, you are joy, and you are peace. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your feelings. Become aware of your thoughts. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of the body. And become aware of the environment and the sounds in the environment. And taking a few deep breaths, slowly and gradually. Whenever you feel complete, you may open the eyes. How was it? Good?
Very peaceful.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. So meditation, we all, tend to believe is concentration, but it's actually deconcentration. The result of meditation is concentration, but during the meditation itself, all you need to do is relax, do nothing. So the deeper you're able to go and relax, yeah, the more dynamic your action will be in the world around. So it's like a bow and arrow, right? The longer you pull, the further behind you pull the arrow, you're able to pull the bow. That much farther the arrow goes, right? So it's exactly like that. The deeper we are able to rest and switch off and unwind, that much more dynamic we can be in life. So that takes us to some of the myths that that are there about meditation. Yeah. Just quickly share my screen. So the first myth is that spirituality is not for me. We all tend to think that it is for the neighbor or it is for the young kids in the house, or it is for the older members of the family. Yeah? But spirituality is for everyone. If you're breathing and you're alive, spirituality is for you. The second myth is, like Meenakshi ji said, spiritual people are non-religious or atheists. Yeah. So that is also not true. Spiritual people, anyone can be spiritual, whether you're an atheist or you're following your religion. Yeah. What spirituality does is it takes you on from religion to the values that your religion instills in you, right? So that is the function of spirituality. So, Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji, somebody had asked him, what is the difference between religion and spirituality? And he gave a very beautiful answer. He said that, religion is like the banana peel and spirituality is the banana. So your religious practices and your or going to the temple or doing your aarti, all of that helps you uncover or unpeel the essence of the religion, which is your the nature of yourself, right? Being connected with yourself. So that is the correlation between religion and spirituality. So religion is a great tool to uncover spirituality. The third myth is spirituality negates science. This is a huge misconception. Actually, it's the other way around. Spirituality paves the way for science. If you ask any true scientist, he will definitely be a spiritual person. So spirituality exposes you to the infinite possibilities that are there in the universe, and science helps you walk that path and prove each of those possibilities. So they don't negate one another. That's a very Western concept. In the Orient, spirituality and science have always gone hand in hand. The fourth myth is spirituality is opposed to materialism. That's also a large misconception. It actually has nothing to do with materialism. Of course, the more spiritually you evolve, the materialism drops by itself, but it is not opposed to materialism. So you can very well live a full life in the world and still be fully spiritual. And the last myth is spirituality means renouncing life. Again, this is a myth that a lot of older generations carry, and also the younger ones, where they feel that if I'm spiritual, if I meditate every day, it means that I cannot live my life fully, or I have to take sannyas, or that kind of perceptions. But those are completely false. Yeah, there's no such thing as having to renounce your life. There are various paths to realizing the self, and you can very well do it being in the world, catering to your worldly responsibilities, and still being on the spiritual path fully. Yeah. So these are some myths that I thought I should share. And then that brings us to the conclusion of today's session. I'd like, if any of you have any questions, maybe we could take those and then conclude the session.
Any questions?
Pooja, you mentioned that you do some work for corporates. So
Yeah.
is it part of a long program, or is it a short duration program which integrates into their training programs?
It can be either. So generally the programs are about 3 days.
Okay.
So they could be standalone programs, or they could be integrated with an existing training program.
Okay.
So it depends on what the corporate really needs. And it helps to also understand the requirement to be able to really, tailor make the program content for the kind of team that is being addressed.
And will it follow the Art of Living framework?
Yeah, so the Sudarshan Kriya is definitely taught, which is the main practice that is taught on all Art of Living courses, on most Art of Living courses. So the Sudarshan Kriya is a breathing technique which helps you completely detox. It's like your daily spiritual practice that I spoke about. It's exactly that. Takes about 35 minutes to do every day, but it just fully cleans up your mind-body complex, gets rid of the negative emotions, the stress, and it's a beautiful, very simple breathing technique that is covered. So that will definitely be part of the program.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Is spiritual person much more brighter?
Yeah. So, I used to teach, what is your name?
I'm Jyoti Vora.
Jyoti ji, so I used to teach when I used to teach the youngsters, in the age group of 18 to 25. And then you have programs also for the age group of 14 to 18 and 8 to 14, two different kinds of programs. So some of these students who had done the earlier program, the 14 to 18 age group program, or the Art Excel for the younger kids, and then come on to one of my programs, without them even having to tell me, I could just immediately spot that, oh, this person has done something spiritual before. Just from the face, you can tell there's so much brightness, and there's that little twinkle in the eye that you can see in these kids. So it's definitely something that you should introduce to them much earlier on in their life. It really helps them gain that direction that they need, and stay away from all the unwanted habits, be in good company, gain some focus and clarity on what it is that they want to do in life. Makes a big difference.
You are able to face more challenges?
You're able to face more challenges with a smile and enthusiasm, and doesn't buckle you down. so you're able to move through it smoothly. That is the beauty of having that little bit of spiritual education along with your regular education.
What you do for your higher position for spirituality, because you have already passed through this stage. So for higher one, you do it continuously?
So I practice the Sudarshan Kriya every day.
Okay.
So that takes about 35-40 minutes. I do a little bit of yoga. And then I take on, the Art of Living has a beautiful silence program, which is either 4 days or 7 days or 10 days. So I make sure I do a silence program every 6 months. So that helps me sustain the stress in my career.
Thank you very much.
Pooja,
Yes.
Pidwani here.
Yes, Mr. Pidwani.
Pidwani. I am before you now. You look at my face and give your observation.
Well, you definitely seem like a spiritual person.
How can you say that?
Because there is a shine and a glow on your face, which I think.
I have
either-
personal philosophy about spiritualism. Spiritualism is something totally unique to an individual.
Yeah.
How you experience your, it's a journey. It's a very unique journey with
Yeah.
yourself. Is this so?
Absolutely. So these tools and techniques help you go within, and eventually uncover, who you are. So it's a very beautiful, very personal and intimate journey, like you said.
Yes, yes. I agree with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Most welcome. Great. So thank you, everyone. Shravanji is also here, who I think Shravanji is also a meditator, meditates every day. Would you like to share something?
Yes, Pooja. I do meditate every day. I do a lot of practice now because of this pandemic. I've started doing almost 2.5 hours of sadhana every day, following Rishi Nitya Pragya ji, doing all the series of knowledge sessions that he has done. His book launch is there on the 25th, so I'm working for that. And yes, I've known Pooja for a long time. She's one of my best friend's niece, and she's very, very enthusiastic about what she does. And I still remember one of the incidences which I had with her when we didn't know each other. She called me up one day morning, says, Mr. Chimbulkar, I've been given your reference by so-and-so. I want to have a program. You have a nice house where we can have this program. So I said, yeah. My wife was in front of me. I said, they want to have a program. Then I asked her, I said, when is the program? She says, today evening, sir. So I said, today evening. I said, give me half an hour. I'm going to office. I'll give you a call. I gave her a call. She says, yeah, I have my people who want to do the Sar Samadhi meditation program. And it starts today evening. So can we start it? And yes, we had that program for 3 days. It was a wonderful program. And she sings very nicely also. Very good bhajan singer also. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me, Mr. Naveen Chawla. I had requested this specially because when Pooja was there, I wanted to listen to her also myself. Thank you.
Great. So I hope you enjoyed the session. It was a very short overview of what spirituality can do for each one of us. And I sincerely urge you all to spend a little time meditating every day, and it will make a big difference. Yeah? And the more regularly you do it, the returns just keep increasing exponentially. So thank
Pooja,
you.
here, can I just say something, which is, you did the session beautifully, but there is a very big myth regarding meditation. It's as a very loosely used term nowadays. It's like yoga. Everybody wants to do yoga. Everybody wants to meditate because everybody is very stressed. Over so many years, I've been hearing about, I'm doing meditation. It's only when I got into serious studies of Vedanta about 9 years ago, and I'm a very I'm devoted to Swami Chinmayanand, so I am basically part of Chinmaya Mission. It's only when I started the deep studies, I realized that meditation is not an action.
Yeah.
It is not a verb, it's a noun. You are in a state of meditation.
Yeah.
So just saying this, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm meditating. You know, they say, oh, leave me alone, I'm going to meditate. You know, time to meditate, you know. So that is actually a very big myth as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, some people meditate in a hurry.
Oh, yeah.
So that is counterproductive to the
Yeah,
purpose
The
of
whole thing is, like you said very rightly, it's your inner journey. And like Mr. Pidwani said, that it is a very personal journey, which is a fact, because each of us, only inside we know exactly who we are. Because of the layers we have over the many, many births, we have created so many layers. So many desires, vasanas, tendencies, you know, they're just full of muck. So just to clear the mirror and see the reflection.
Can I add something, Meenakshi?
Sure.
You see, yoga is also a kind of meditation. Yoga is also meditation. It depends how you take it.
No,
Yoga is
because
also
you have to be present. I am practicing yoga for last close to 40 years and Ayurveda for many years. So it's what you're saying is exactly right. But meditation is still not an action.
So yoga leads you into meditation. Eventually, it's about dropping the action, dropping all action and just being.
Correct.
Reposing in the self.
So they say the psychologists have understood in this, or as we call it, the objective world, that a person, human being, has 40,000 thoughts a day. So if you have 40,000 thoughts a day and you want to meditate, it will not happen. It is your tuning of your mind, and the first thing you do is to calm your body. Hence, what you are saying, Puja, is very good because it leads the calming of the body, and then the mind, then the intellect, and then only you can empty yourself to fill yourself up with the divinity.
Yeah.
Because we are full of 40,000. How do we have no space?
But you say, Meenakshi, out of those 40,000 thoughts you say, most of 90% of the thoughts are from the past. They don't serve us anything. They are just useless thoughts, which we can discard any moment. If you are really meditating, then just like that, you can get rid of the thought immediately. No.
Yeah, so it also depends on our previous journeys and previous lives. At what level we are now. Everybody is not at the same level. It depends on the play of the gunas. How Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic are you? If you have more Sattvic tendencies, you will go like this in meditation.
Yes, definitely, yes.
But if your mind is full of Rajasic thoughts and you are Rajasic and Tamasic, no way you are going to be sitting in meditation. It's not going to happen.
Still, with practice, you can do that.
You can go to sleep, but you can't meditate. You will become quiet and go to sleep. But that's not meditation.
No, that is not meditation. But you can meditate with practice. With practice, you can
110%. 110%.
Yeah. So what happens is when meditation becomes a practice, like we said, that spiritual practice that you do regularly every day,
it's a
it
sadhana.
starts transforming your lifestyle, right? And the way that you start approaching people, situations, your reaction, you stop reacting and start responding to people and situations.
100%, Pooja, 100%.
Yeah.
And you also realize that ego can be reduced because we are so deeply identified with this body, mind, and intellect. And we have such strong doership. Oh, I am an IIT. I am from Harvard. I am having $1 million in my bank account in 2 years of my job. This strong identification with the big I, which keeps happening at all times. That is the sure short formula of sorrow. Unless we understand that I am not the doer, there is a higher power which is controlling all of us, which is pervading us. Unless we are able to understand, we are a big zero wherever we are, because the one small thing and we fall. Am I right, Mr. Pidwani?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
What exactly is ego?
Ego is the strong identification of I plus I want
True.
must give me this result.
Yes.
If I may quote Mr. Dyer, he said, ego is EGO, age got out. You are removing God from your life.
Absolutely, yeah.
I feel Meenakshi ji is a better meditator than anybody else here today.
No, there is no comparison with anyone, Mahapatra ji. Everybody is having their own journey.
No,
And
madam.
we also go
Madam,
through ups and downs.
I can very well see your this explanation and your the depth of knowledge in yoga, and I am also doing for last 30 years, madam, yoga. So it's I have gone also with Buddhiraja Sahab to our this Igatpuri, Vipassana.
Good.
It's good. That we should do all
Like
this.
he said, everybody has, Pidwani ji saying, everybody has their own journey.
Yeah, definitely.
If you are surrendered to a leaf, even a small leaf, if you surrender your ego even to a leaf, you have reached your goal.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
The question is, we never surrender ourselves to anything.
Yeah.
And we are always human beings, as my Gurudev Swami Chinmayanand says, human beings have a tendency for causation hunting. We always want to know why this happened, how that happened, why this is happening to me and why not happening to somebody else. And where is God? I can't see him. It's like saying that you can run all your gadgets on electricity, but you have never seen electricity. But you still believe that there is electricity, but you don't believe there is God.
Madam, have you come across with Madhavanand Swami ji of Chinmay Mission?
I have heard of him, but I really don't know. So we can have a
He-
separate discussion on Chinmaya Mission at another time. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you. Sorry to
Thank you,
interrupt.
Pooja. It's nice. We could learn many things from you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad you had a good session.
Thank you.
Naveen Chawla, you are still there? Naveen?
Anybody else making any comments, or should we go in for the vote of thanks?
Yeah, where is your mask now? Where you are, Naveen?
Well, before the official vote of thanks, I would like to thank Pooja for busting a very big myth which I had in me.
Rotary Club.
Hello,
Yeah, go ahead, Game.
somebody's talking?
No, sir. Go ahead.
So I would thank Pooja for busting a very big myth which I had about myself. For 40-45 years, I've always worked for liquor companies, and I thought I was very spiritual, but now I realize spirituality is something else. So on this little note, I'll request Vijayanti to please give an official vote of thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Pooja, for your very interesting talk on spirituality on this auspicious day of Dhanateras. Ghatasthapana. It was a very beautiful explanation of 7 layers of existence. And your 10 minutes of demo on meditation was very relaxing and energizing. It was very good explanation about spirituality and religion. And so many myths about spirituality were cleared so beautifully. Thank you, really thank you. You all enjoyed this session on spirituality. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So once again, thank you, Pooja. And thank you to all the guests who have come to our meeting. And I now adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
It was not only puja, but there's very interesting inputs from all over, mainly Meenakshi also, because she's so much into it, and each and everybody. It was a very good, interesting session. Not only with puja, but everybody participated with so much of knowledge and enthusiasm. It was a very good learning experience.
Bye bye. See you.